Thank you very much, Speaker. To my colleague who just spoke, thank you for partnering with the City of Detroit. I appreciate the efforts that you and your other colleagues are doing to try to help the City of Detroit. I appreciate the idea of ending the bankruptcy, a bankruptcy that the City of Detroit did not start, but an emergency manager did. I personally believe that the pensioners, the retirees matter. And to your wisdom, table of wisdom, yeah, taking the deal is probably the best thing that this state could do to assist the pensioners, to bring the City of Detroit out of bankruptcy, to move the City of Detroit forward. I agree with that 100%. Where I have a hard time supporting this legislation is what you mentioned, a 13-year minimum takeover of the City of Detroit. And you said minimum, and you're right. Because this could be forever. This is a statute that's going to be on the books that any future legislature could change. They could impose this committee that has been changed from, I guess it was an oversight board initially. That was too harsh. So now it's committee. That sounds a little bit better. But this committee that you call it today could be changed, and it could say that we will stay in the City of Detroit forever. Now, first of all, I started off by saying that I do support pensioners and I want them to be made whole. This is not the only way to do that. The City of Detroit was promised $333.9 million, and some would say that's over. Yeah, we need to move past that. You're right. I think we need to move past it. But you have to admit that the deal was still struck, and the City of Detroit counted on those dollars and did not receive them. If we added up the years that the City of Detroit were to receive those dollars, it would add up to roughly just over $300 million. If the state of Michigan honored that, I think the City of Detroit would be willing to give that to the pensioners. That will settle this. Bankruptcy will be over. City of Detroit will move forward. State of Michigan wouldn't be on the hook for these pensions to the tune of $3 billion, as our previous speaker said. And everything would be fine. But this legislature, the sponsors of these bills, have decided that Detroit, the City of Detroit, should not be able to control itself. The people of the City of Detroit, the elected officials that are elected by the citizens of the City of Detroit, cannot handle their own affairs. This legislature has decided that they need to have a heavy hand in the City of Detroit, essentially take over the governance of the City of Detroit. I want to go back a little bit to the emergency manager issue. This legislature decided to vote on a bill that would institute a more structured or giving the emergency manager more power, from Public Act 72 to Public Act 4. Democrats on this side said no. Republicans said yes. The citizens weighed in on a referendum. The citizens said no. This legislature then came back and said that we, the Republican legislature, should make that choice and instituted 436. The trust that I have for this legislature and doing the right thing by the city of Detroit stems from that. It also stems from the fact that the legislature decided not to give the city of Detroit the money that they promised. So when I have colleagues on both sides of the aisle tell me that this is the best deal that could be had, they believe that this is going to be okay. The city of Detroit, and our last speaker said it, the city of Detroit is going to move forward. I hope that's the case. But past experience have shown that this legislature cannot be trusted. So I, as an elected official from the city of Detroit, I cannot and I will not vote on legislation that gives oversight over an elected body in the city of Detroit. I voted no on emergency managers, and I believe that this is wrong, just as wrong. The issue of the emergency manager, an issue of this body over the city of Detroit, is about democracy as well. This bill tramples on democracy. I don't think anybody in this room would accept what you are asking the citizens of the city of Detroit to accept. The plan of adjustment that these bills are predicated on has to be approved by the federal judge. That hasn't happened. There's issues within the plan of adjustment that may not fly with the federal bankruptcy court. Issues such as unsecured and secured debt. And I think we all know about it. This bankruptcy, Kevin Orr, emergency manager of the city of Detroit, is treating those two classes the same. That's a problem. Judge Rose has to make a decision on that. You all who vote for this, I believe is voting prematurely on legislation that may not even be accepted. We should rethink this. If you want to help the city of Detroit, if you want to help the pensioners, let's just appropriate the dollars. Let's give the city of Detroit what you owe them. And you hear it again. I think it's my time to speak, isn't it? This document that was given to every legislator in this room that shows the pensioners in our districts shows that I have in my current House district more pensioners than anybody in this room. I believe this was given to me so that I could change my decision on how I felt about this legislation. Well, I care about my pensioners in my community. This bankruptcy did not have to happen. This governor decided to go into bankruptcy after receiving information from his emergency manager / bankruptcy attorney that the city of Detroit didn't have to go into bankruptcy. So, since this bankruptcy did not have to happen, I don't believe and will not accept that this is the only thing that we can do to fix it. This legislature last year, and I'm going to speak as long as I feel like it. Decided to tax pensions.
Representative, please keep your comments directed toward the subject matter of the bill currently before us. The Speaker recognizes Representative Nathan.
Aren't we talking about pensioners? So now this legislature cares about pensioners. We objected to that legislation. So where you get the heart from today that these pensioners matter? Imposing this legislation on the city of Detroit is not right. This is something that the city of Detroit's elected officials that are here will have to live with for a very long time if it passes. The vote that they take will be a vote for oversight and takeover of the city of Detroit. Those legislators really should consider their position on this. I do not trust that this will work out for the betterment of my community. I'll leave it there, Speaker.